Hi everyone, welcome to Natural Wonders. Today I've got a really cool painting to do with you all. It's a wet on wet oil painting that I'm going to do. I'm really looking forward to getting started with it, so I'm going to run the colours across the screen that you need to paint along with us with this painting, and I'm going to get started. First of all, I'm going to use a small amount of raw sienna. Raw sienna, it's a bit like yellow ochre. It's a lovely colour though, it gives a really nice glow. And you notice I'm tapping the bristles into the paint really evenly. That's why we pull the paints out, so that you've got this control over how much paint you're using. We only need to stain the brush for this. We really don't need a lot of this colour. So first of all, with that colour up in here, I'm just going to apply some of this colour just in this part of the sky. There. I'm not going to overdo it, I want it to stay quite bright. Just over in there. And then you can actually blend a little bit down into the edges as well. Just enough. Just down into there. You'll probably only just notice this colour. And then I'm going to use a bit of burnt sienna. See that, just on the edge, burnt sienna. I'm tapping right into that because I don't want a lot of this colour. I just want enough, so I can apply some of that colour in there and allow that colour to blend up to that yellow that we used with the burnt sienna. Same over at this side. Just want to bring a bit of that colour in, just in there, but I'm leaving a glow, an area where it's just white, just in the centre of it there. So the edges want to be softly blended, just like that. That's looking good. Now you need to use a clean brush for this, otherwise you might go green on you because of the burnt sienna that we used, the raw sienna that we used. So I'm just going to use the smallest amount of phthalo blue now. See that? Tiniest amount, just to stay in them bristles. You don't want this to be strong at all. And then just up in the corners, a little bit up in there, and a little bit up in this corner as well. So first of all, you can apply the colour. It wants to stay pretty light above that, but this colour wants to blend out. So I'll put that brush down now and go to a blender brush, because what I want to do is I want to make it soft on the edges, just in here, so that you can't tell where one colour starts and where the next colour stops. Just in there. Just going to blend it out nice and soft. And before we started, we've got liquid white over the whole canvas, so it's important to use liquid white with this. It really is. We should be able to blend that so it's really quite light. I don't want it to be very dark like it is when you put it on raw. I'll just blend and mix with that liquid white, and then that's exactly what we're after. And then you come along, do the same just up in there. You will lose the odd hair here and there, don't worry about that though, don't stress about it. I'm going to blend that out just like I did the other side over here. And I might just use that and pick that up. Little hair on there. You got the blue on the edges. I want to bring a bit of that blue just into there as well. Just a bit of it. If you lose some of your blue, we've still got the brush from before. It wants to be a darker blue in the corners, and then blend into nothing, more or less, just light up in there. That's fine. Really nice soft blend is what we're after. Go across the edge of both of them. See that? There. Same on that side. Go across both. across the two colours. It'll blend them together softly. In a very, so I'm just going to mix the colour up for some clouds. I'm using Alizarin Crimson and Phthalo Blue together, but a bit more to the red side. A bit more crimson than blue. There's some really good dark shadow for these clouds. You can even get away with a bit of burnt sienna into that also. Just in there. Right. And what I'll do, I'll actually mix that with some titanium white to find out the exact tone of the colour now. Plus I don't want it to be quite too dark at first anyway. So I'll mix some of it with white, some of that colour. And that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. It's to the mauve side, basically. There. So again, you have to wipe the knife off every time when you're mixing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a fan brush. Just a normal fan brush. Go into that colour both sides. Load it to a chiselled edge. And I'm just going to use the corners just up in here. I'm just going to use the corners at first and allow it to mix with that colour. You see, I know that I'm going to want it to be dark all in this area. So by mixing this in with the dark first of all, it will actually help it mix with the liquid white slightly. There. That's it. Because as I come in here, I want it to get slightly lighter so it's not quite as distinct. That's actually quite fuzzy up in there. And then it comes down. I'm just getting the shape first of all. Just allow that to just melt into there. Nice and soft and fluffy they're going to be. This is the bottom of a cloud. The very bottom. There's a big old dark cloud just up in here. You use tiny circles sometimes. I want it to be really soft and not just perfectly flat underneath. I want it to have all these little shapes, because they do have that. And then over in this edge we've got a little bit more that's coming on through and then disappearing off. Just a nice little fluffy one. And there. Comes through and then disappears up into there. That's cool. Now we're starting to run out of a bit of colour, which is good. I'm going to actually start getting this soft areas now on the edge. Really nice soft areas. You can blend inside the cloud a bit if you choose. Blend it a small amount. Maybe there's a couple of little floaters just out there in between. Some of that. A few of them floater clouds. Same up in here, we've got some little floater clouds going on. First of all, get the colour on there, and then we're going to come back and blend them. It's nice and soft. Using the same colour the whole way through, and then that breaks off. There's a few separate bits, which when I blend it will look smart. Just needs a nice blending, that's all. Some wispy clouds back in there. Going back onto this. And then that actually comes down quite a bit further than I've got it coming. Comes down to about there. That's it. So we're going to have a tree in front of these anyway, but they will stand out behind the tree, so still want to get them in. Nice, lovely colours for clouds. This mauve, it's a really nice colour for clouds, it works a treat. Now I'm just going to get a bit more white and mix it with this colour on the brush, so it's lighter basically in tone. And then with that, I know I want some horizon clouds, not horizon, just above the horizon really, and they're coming in from about there. So I'm just going to tap them in. Something about like so. And then they actually disappear off more or less. So I'll paint underneath that, give it a nice shape coming through. Gentle, don't be too hard, don't press too hard on with these. You get another little bit of something coming from up there. Like it. So we've got masking tape all around here, it's a little bit of a surprise underneath for you all. Now there's a little bit that comes from this side as well, and it comes straight through. So I'm now switching to a big brush, and I can use that colour I just put on there, and I make them look like little distant wispy clouds on the horizon there. I can get away with a few of them, just along that horizon line. I know that we've got some mountains in here as well, you see, so I'm being very careful not to overdo. I'm just going to put a bit of that colour just down for that horizon area, just in there. And they'll be soft now. I'll come back with a blender brush and I'll just gently go over them and make them look like very soft, distant, wispy clouds. Just there. Almost just disappear. This side's a lot softer. You can actually move the colour while it's on the canvas. You see that? You can literally move that colour while it's on there. Now I'm just going to use this 1-inch brush on the edges of this, and I'm just going to soften it just on the bottom edge. See that in there? Just by touching, I've got the brush at that angle, and just by touching up into that, it'll make it look soft on the edge like fluffy clouds, and that's what I'm trying to achieve. These are really nice fluffy clouds that we've got going on up in here. Just let that fluff into that. Same with the bottom of there. You just touch into it, just gently soften that up. Come back to a clean brush, and then any little areas where you've gone down a bit too far, you can just blend it away. It'll just disappear completely into that. As I said before, there's going to be trees into this anyway, so that's good. Now I'm going to get a smaller brush with no paint on it, just a fan brush, no paint at all on that. And then I'm just going to come up in here and I'm going to touch some of this and blend it with this little fan brush and make it look really soft and smooth in that centre. Yeah, that's it. I just love painting clouds and skies. There's so many wonderful skies out there for you to do. You never run out of medium to inspire you, never. And if you do, you're just not looking hard enough. That's what I've found myself. You know, you have times where you can't find inspiration and stuff like that. Just get out, get into nature, find your inspiration. It's there. You just got to tap into it. Nature is the best thing ever for inspiring you. It's inspired artists throughout the years, centuries. There we go. See, I just touched it with my hand there. See how easy it is to remove that. Use a clean brush and I can just, and there you go, back to normal again. And gently just blend over them clouds as well, soften them slightly, same up in there, same on all of these clouds, just gently caress them, really being gentle, and that'll make it look lovely and soft in there. That's it. Same in that. Just gently. You're literally just grazing the surface. Don't forget, this is wet on wet, so you're painting with wet paint over wet paint, and you've got to be careful, otherwise you can end up mixing mud and it'll ruin your world, and we just do not want that. We want everything to work perfectly for you with this. I'm just going to get a bit of that colour there and just make it go softly into the light and disappear. As it mixes with the white, it should just disappear completely. This will be coming off. Love it. Spend hours just doing a sky like this. I really can. I can just sit here forever. Pick up a bit of colour and sometimes just put in some little bits of clouds that are hidden away in there. It's cool. Pick up some of that colour again by touching into there, and then you can come down in here and indicate maybe a little distant cloud just in there, a little distant fluffy one. It's a bit further away. Cool. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of trees and stuff covering this up, so I don't want to go too crazy in there. Just got one in there. Perfect. Right, I'm happy with that start. Now, what I need to do now, I need to really focus on getting these mountains in. So I'm going to use that same brush with the purple and the white on. And what I'm going to do, that's it, it's just there. I'm going to get a little bit of raw sienna in with that colour. Just the tiniest amount of raw sienna to that colour, that mauve colour, which is the same as this but lighter. Just a small amount. Raw sienna in with that colour, and that should be a lovely colour for some distant mountains that I'm wanting to do. Maybe a bit more white needed with that, so it's not quite as bright, as dark as I've got it. Make it lighter, that colour. Yeah, that's a good tone. So I want these to be distant and very far away with some of that colour. I've got a really light tone of it now. And with that, just over in the background, over in here, we've got some little mountains that are in the distance. See that just in there? And actually, as it comes towards the sun, it almost disappears. Just in there, just disappears off. So I'm being very careful. So it disappear into that sunny area. It's just in there, and then it comes up here and slightly like so. That's very, very far away. Very far away. So I'm just going to pull down at an angle underneath that. Comes right on to about there. angles are important for this. All those angles that you use will make it look really, really nice. So you just pull it down at that angle. You're not going to see loads of this, just the top part really. You just want to make sure that you pull it down properly. Now I'm going to use a clean brush. And I'm just going to come with this clean brush, tap it out if you get any colour on it, it'll mix with white, and you can just come into that and gently, I just want to gently go right over the top of it, very softly. Don't destroy all that you've just done, just want to make it soft. The line with that same brush part. Just a tiny bit of colour underneath that. Blend it as gradual as you can. I want some of this colour underneath first. I'm going to have a couple of layers, you see. I want to have some mist along this bottom edge as well. So I'll pull a tiny bit of colour in for that. Just in there. Now, darker colour. Now the darker tone. Because we're going to come up in here quite dark. Start lower than you want to be, and then you can come up to the top edge. And I actually want to bring it over here, and then there's a separate part that comes in front just there, which separates one layer of this mountain from the other, and then that will just blend down into the mist again, just the same. So blend down behind it. I want this colour to be a bit darker than what I had it before, because this is closer to us slightly. There. Something about like that. Now I'm just going to come back to a 1-inch brush, just a clean 1-inch brush, and I'm going to tap in there. Just going to tap, because in that sunny area it's very, very subdued, and then you can pull slightly and make it look misty underneath there. That's cool. Even with this here, you can just bring it in, grab that part and just pull. Yeah, so it just disappears off into that misty area. That's it. Just vanishes off. That's good. Happy with how this is going so far. You can actually pull that down a bit with this brush as well. Right, now we've got another layer, and it comes through, I'd say from about here. So we'll just pull that in, just a bit darker, just in there, and that goes down, and then it gets chopped off with a load of trees that we've got in there. Still quite a distance away, so it's not overly dark yet. Something like that. Great stuff. Seeing areas where I need to block in a tiny bit more, so that's why I'm just doing this. Comes down a bit further than I had it. Now just along here I'm going to create an area for where this waterfall is going to actually appear from, and for me it's in there. This is the line I'm going to use for my little waterfall that's going to come and drop down into here. Something about like that. Because I can actually indicate it now with some darker colour. I can indicate that we're going to have a lot of trees just up in here, quite distant, and that is still from the mountain, you see, just there. So I'm going to even have these bushes and trees going up above that and then down below it again. So I only want that part to stand out, just in there. Just on that bottom little bush there. And that stands out behind it then. That's the idea. Now, these mountains that we put in before will stand out just above the trees. Just above. I can even get a bit of Van Dyke Brown and burnt sienna. There's a bit of Van Dyke Brown and burnt sienna on the corner of that brush, because there's quite a lot of browns in this as well. Brown tones into this painting, so we might as well make some of that. That can actually go along there slightly. Go up. And even up there. And that's sat way back in the distance there. See, I'm just tapping underneath it. Actually, a few of them lavenders into that as well. It's not all just the brown. Mix it up a bit. That's it. Quite distant trees. Now again, I'm coming back with the purple. This is the sort of shade that I'm using now, this shade of purple. And then I'm just coming in here, just underneath all of this. I'm just going to put another layer where there's like a bit of land just in there. And that actually comes right through and then starts to come down. And again, that will just disappear, so I'll paint behind it first, a bit darker. And get a bit of the brown, burnt sienna, into that. So I'm going to use these burnt sienna shades and the browns throughout this picture. And they really go well with mauve colours. Just disappear off into there. That's it. Happy. So now you've got all this lovely stuff here just going on in this background. It's really lovely. It's layers upon layers going back. I can use this clean brush and I'm just going to pick up the liquid white, and with that I'm going to actually give you a straight line through all the way. Same on this side. I'm going to pick up a bit of that colour as I do it, but it's not a problem. Just want to go along